2, 3.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to the front of the line. My name is Jack Kilby, and in this episode, I'm really fortunate to get to talk to my friend Peter DelGrosso, who is a fellow Virginia native, though who I did not meet, maybe officially. I think we must have met, in Charlottesville at a jam session. But I met Peter originally at Queens College at the Aaron Copland School of Music, where I did my master's in the jazz program, and Peter was doing his master's in the classical program. And he's an incredible French horn player, keyboardist, arranger, composer. He's got a new French horn quartet that we're going to talk about, as well as his amazing contribution to the arrangement of Jupiter that is on volume 2 of our new album, Love Is a Song Anyone Can Sing. So Peter, man, how are you?
Dude, I'm excited to be here.
Thanks a lot. Well, I really appreciate it, man. How's the New York grind treating you?
Sometimes it's not a grind, man. I mean, let's be honest. We were just talking off air, and I was just saying, today I was doing a lot of teaching and teaching music. And I think if you're teaching music, playing music somewhere in what you're doing, you're kind of just getting general music energy into you. And sometimes teaching and getting your ass kicked practicing can be hard, but sometimes they can just it doesn't even exert energy. I feel like I'm pretty caffeinated right now just from teaching.
You sound caffeinated. You sound excited, man. This is great. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's just sometimes it's easy. Sometimes, a lot of times, it's not a job. I think, it doesn't feel like a job. I think that's why people, want to pay us what they want to pay us sometimes, or pay us an exposure. But I think the reason part of the reason it kind of becomes to feel like it's not a job, it's not just because music's great all the time. If you don't really know what you're doing, you're kind of struggling to play, struggling to articulate an idea with a student, or struggling to keep up with, you're not playing wise with the student, but you got to, in teaching, you just got to be 3 steps ahead of them and just kind of be really quick about it. And when you put in the work and you get to that point, it starts to not become a job. And I don't know, today, I've had this teaching day, Thursdays. I teach at all these schools, teach some private lessons, and it doesn't feel good. It feels terrible. So, sometimes it's just today, but today, music, just teaching music, and, I got to practice a lot, practicing some new music with some new groups, and that just, gets you really excited. Gets me really excited.
The life force, yeah, man. Yeah, it sounds
absolutely. I don't know, man. Maybe I think some people don't really know about it, and that's a damn shame. It's the best.
Right. No, that's great to hear, man. I guess I only say, and that that's the one thing about living in New York. You're definitely working a lot, but it's amazing that you've gotten to this point, where you're really happy with the work that you're doing, such that and you've reached the point of the flow. Like you said, 3 steps ahead. You really sort of have developed a method, right? And this is, how many years have you been doing this now?
What, in New York?
No, of teaching. This is your second or third year teaching at this school?
So this private school, I'm teaching some brass lessons. This is a newer gig. I've been teaching for another company that does more classroom stuff for about 2 or 3 years, but,
right.
Teaching, doing a undergrad at Virginia Commonwealth University in music ed, and teaching a little bit before that. I feel like I'm teaching for a while.
That's really cool, man. I in the extent to which I only wish that I had had teaching classes. I didn't have a music ed degree, but I think that I certainly, as any teacher would have benefited from education classes, and sometimes it's just about how you explain it to a kid, or understanding kids for kids, and where they're really at developmentally, so that you're not just throwing something over their head or insulting them by, dumbing something down in a way that doesn't need to be done.
Well, and I feel like I I even got a lot of like ideas about teaching, or just got better at teaching through osmosis when I was in high school. And I was, a student of at Albemarle High School in Charlottesville under
nice.
Greg Thomas. Shout out Greg Thomas. That is like, no bias, completely, seen a lot more of the music ed world or just the music world. And that man is just one of the best music educators ever. He's just amazing. And, there was even times where he had like an emergency and he'd like pull me out of class and I got to teach a couple classes. And I mean, I really feel, I don't know, maybe even I was thinking about this when we were talking before we started recording. I just like, even just this small little trumpet lesson or French horn lesson I just taught was kind of like a culmination of so many things. Like, and teaching the trumpet or the French horn, I tell you, this French horn student is the best. And I'm like teaching this kid, and the whole time I'm just like, yes, I'm loving this. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's kind of like, not every part of what I'm doing in New York. Some of it, feels like a job, but there's parts where it's just like, this is it. This is the job. I don't need to do anything more than this. It just feels so good,
Right. That's awesome, man. Well, tell me more about your performance stuff recently then. Like, I can't wait to hear more about the Metropolitan Horn Authority. I love the logo, first of all. I mean, it's like literally the favorite like music logo I might have ever seen. It's just very clever.
Nice, yeah. Shout out Carrie Conrad, Kerri. Yeah, she hooked it up, and now it's just kind of.
So you've been recording. You've probably got you just did a performance with a full band, right? Like, did I see a photo of you guys with like Graham and Dylan?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that was last week, and it was so funny. So that was 2 hours up. You ever play at Silvana in Harlem? That spot?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So they gave us like this. It was right in the middle of this polar vortex. 6 to 8, not a great time slot, but I get it. They don't really know the horn quartet scene and all that. Normally they I think there's like a trombone player who books that specific time slot for like brass quintets and more of these kind of groups. So we had 2 hours. The first hour was just horn quartet, 4 horns. At the end we had Graham play on a couple tunes with drums, and that helped. And I don't know, we were just kind of trying to play through some arrangements, and some of them worked. Some of them was just like what I was kind of realizing during and definitely after, like just 4 French horns, which is what the group, the Metropolitan Horn Authority, what it's been for over a year now, more or less just 4 French horns, which is great sound, unique sound, and entertaining sound. But ultimately, like, it just has a ceiling on the energy level, and I think that's fine if we're playing like in an art gallery or we're playing a certain kind of venue, but like Silvana, like a live music venue bar, like you need to kind of be able to get the energy, to a point, and also be able to maintain it. If you're trying to maintain it with just 4 horns, you're gonna be working really hard, and it's almost impossible. So then we start the second set with the full band. We did this arrangement of Rich Girl, that Hall & Oates tune.
Cool.
Yeah, just like super easy. Just play it down. Just parts, first, chorus, all that kind of stuff. And then fun gig for me. Got to talking to the microphone a little bit. Do the frontman thing. Learned a lot doing that. I can't wait to do more of that. But as soon as we finished Rich Girl, I just wasn't a joke. Wasn't trying to like make up for anything in the first half. I just had this impulse. I just had to say like into the microphone. The first thing I said was, "This is so much better." Like, just for us and everybody to play with the full band. It was just as in the middle of it. I was just like, it finally started. I'm like, yes, this is it. To asking about stuff with the Metropolitan Horn Authority. I mean, I think we kind of found it with this full band. I think there's only adding to the unique factor, and I think here and there,
right, absolutely.
French horn quartets who, they play with the full band, but I mean, something we did right off the bat, I did this arrangement of Isn't She Lovely, Stevie Wonder. That's a pretty easy form. You just kind of play through and take some solos. But I think what we're going to do is why wouldn't we do this is take advantage of the killing musicians in the band, Graham, Dylan, all that. So, we play in this arrangement, there's a little bit of an intro, and we play through some verses that are more densely arranged than your normal version of that tune. And then right away, I'm like, yo, Dylan, you take a solo. So we kind of, we get drums on 2 and 4, and it's just horns and just Dylan just shredding on bass. And then we open up the bass and drums, and it's just like that. It's more like a band now and less unless like almost, we're getting away from just horn quartet gimmick and just being like, just like killing live show,
Right. Well, it's great. And that, like, it's not that it was a gimmick. It's just that was like the sort of standard for like a, like a horn quartet, right? That's how many are in the section, right? And like how many parts and stuff. So it's like, it's very logical to me. And then especially because of your, you're a rhythm section player, in your keyboard, abilities, right? Like, so it's just like a whole other world that your mind is super tapped into. So I'm not surprised that that's been a nice like hookup for you, man. That's really awesome. And sounds really interesting too. Like, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah,
especially knowing, like, I'm lucky though, and that like some of our listeners probably don't know our friends Graham and Dylan. Graham being from the Charlottesville area, just unbelievably good drummer, especially with the the very like beat type, like house beat type way that he plays, and is able to just like lay it down so true to what these produced beats were, like the replication of that on an acoustic kit, but with the feel, that's something I'm always impressed with, that I would like to work on in my own playing, And then Dylan, obviously, he's shredder, amazing.
Yeah, just a monster. Like, just with this group, I think personally for me, thinking, sometimes through as a rhythm section player, thinking as a horn player, thinking as an arranger. And talk about expressing yourself. I think I'm kind of this group kind of really gets me there, or at least the closest I can get there to really fully expressing myself.
And do you do all the writing and arranging for the band?
Let's say 95% for the most part. A lot of music for this 2-hour set, so we were working on some, just like, hey, can we get some covers together? Can somebody, bust out some parts for some other covers? But I think what we're going to do is, especially with Graham and Dylan, we're just going to get up. We're just going to write original music for this instrumentation, I think of,
of course.
I don't know, I can't help think of like, Virginia bands like No BS Brass, or there's some other groups that are like horn heavy. And I even thought of it like right when I was, in Richmond hanging out and, checking out No BS. I'm like, this is No BS Brass, man. No French horns. What's going on there? That's a brass instrument. And so I'm thinking like we can kind of like really lean into that, and kind of work,
that's a great idea.
Do the same thing. Yeah.
I mean, that I'm into the whole thing or the whole rhythm section with like French horn things, because like, my goodness, let's tell them about Jupiter, man. My whole concept began with the fact that I felt like behind these beautiful French horn sections and euphonium melodies, that like I heard like a drum set and like a raucous one.
Well, you're like an advocate
so it was really
for
amazing.
French horn, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
we need some people like like just giving us a voice. My goodness,
that's real. And hey, it's very self-aware of you to even acknowledge, that like, hey, I think just doing a French horn quartet is only probably going to get us so far. How else can we, embellish this? And man, I would love to one day be able to have your quartet play the intro to Jupiter that you arranged for the tune. So beautiful. I got to record that. They let us back in the studio back at Queens College. Big shout out to Justin Tricarico, Jim McElwain there. Like, man, I used to be just like, I was like a studio right there, man. I was just there most of the day, like mixing, messing around, recording, and to be able to go back and, with my setup, my mobile rig, and like record you and have you lay down the 4 parts and stuff. And just, it's really beautiful. Tell them more about, how you conceived of that intro.
I don't know, man. I feel like there's a part of me that just like forced you to do it. You like said the words Jupiter and French horn. I'm like, I'm on it. Like, we didn't even talk about it. I was just like, oh man, I want to, because I was pumped that you were doing that arrangement. And I think you were doing that knowing you wanted horn. I'm like, all right, man, well, let me just do as much as I can for it. Let me just like do too much almost. And if you want less, we'll do less, but let me just, and,
no, it was great. I think it was because I wanted you to do, I knew I wanted you to do one of the horn parts, right? Like on the band, but you ended up, and then you were like, yo, I wrote this intro, check it out.
Well, man, I don't know if we talked about it, but I was thinking about it, I guess today. I remember like being like Jupiter, particularly like, orchestral version. I remember being an undergrad, and it was like one of these